Well, the Mario Day 2025 festivities continue because Nintendo did just drop a Nintendo Switch Online update that is for sure related to Mario Day, and I would argue this is not quite as an impressive selection of games as what we got last year. But interestingly, Nintendo decided to wait until actual Mario Day to drop games last year, leading me to some speculation around whether or not they have something else up their sleeves for Mario Day. But for now, nonetheless, I tend to believe that these games are the ones that we are going to get for this celebration window. And we have Donkey Kong from Game Boy and Mario's Picross. So I actually want to boot up both of these together and share my brief initial gameplay experience with them because I have not played either one of them before, and talk about the likelihood of any upcoming Mario Day announcements on the actual day itself, which is of course March 10th, Monday, and have a broader conversation about the health of NSO as a whole, and also what to expect from the service as we inch closer and closer to that April 2nd Direct that could hold a very big NSO set of surprises for us. So we're going to get on the same page with all of this info. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And with that, we'll hop right over to some Nintendo Switch gameplay. All right, so fresh round of NSO games is always a good thing. Let's quickly look at the library of Game Boy games and see how they're coming along. I was definitely a big fan of the Donkey Kong Land games as we got all of those. Kind of, Nintendo celebrating Donkey Kong's anniversary in a very small way. But I do think that, Mario Day themed games were to kind of be expected since we saw them do that last year. In fact, we saw Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, and Dr. Mario added in for Mario Day 2024. So, Game Boy is actually what they went with before to update the games for Mario Day. And we once again have that this time around. So we'll spend the majority of our time in Donkey Kong, I think. I actually don't know how to play Picross, or I just haven't played it before. So I know it's like there's some kind of number system that tells you how many blocks you're supposed to take out and stuff like that. And anyway, we'll figure that out a little bit together. I know you're like ultimately making an image, but actually playing it, we'll see how that actually goes. I do think that in general, though, one thing that this kind of confirms to me, this round of game updates, is that we shouldn't probably expect any kind of big Mario Day Direct. I would like to be wrong about that, but I just think that if that was planned, that the NSO games coming would have actually been in that presentation, is kind of where my mindset's at. Now, I messed this up. Yeah, that didn't work out. I just feel like these would have been there if it was going to be a Mario Day Direct. So I'm kind of more now thinking if we get anything at all, it might be like a quick little Miyamoto Happy Mario Day, and the Mario Bros. Movie 2 is still coming along nicely. Stay tuned for a trailer later on, this year or towards the end of this year. We're going to reveal more information. Maybe they confirm some cast information for that movie that's upcoming. They could mention something like that. They could talk about some theme park stuff going on, but what I'm trying to pull back my expectations for Mario Day is the fact that I think it's mainly sales deals and promotions for Mario, but not necessarily like big game announcements or anything like that. I think that we're kind of past where that would have been. I think that went pretty well, all things considered, but there is a one-up that I missed, and I don't even know what the umbrella does because it's been that many years since playing any kind of Donkey Kong game. This type of Donkey Kong game, I should say, because I'm very much more of the Donkey Kong Country era from SNES and onward. I probably need something to take this guy out, I would assume, unless if that was kind of the item that I needed to grab there for it. Nope, it definitely was not. So, okay, I guess I could have just jumped to those ladders and jumped off. That was on me. So I do think it's interesting to think about NSO right now, because where it's at currently is, it's end of life cycle if you think about it for the current generation. Now, I know obviously Nintendo's going to continue to update it when it comes to the next gen console. I think that's kind of what they're waiting for big things now. Now I say that, and we're playing a Donkey Kong game, and we still don't have, we totally messed up there. We still don't have, Donkey Kong 64 playable or Diddy Kong Racing, but I guess maybe Nintendo didn't think that those would be as much of a Mario Day celebration as these games are. They would have been a much bigger one for me, because I'm still kind of getting tired waiting for those. But I will say that in general, while there are some games that can be, put out there for the current systems that we have on the service, I think Nintendo, it's time to add more systems, and I really think that that's what we're going to get at something like the April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, that is, because I do think that they're going to want to really try to sell to people that, hey, you either get subscribed to the service or stay subscribed to the service, but regardless, you know, you're going to want to, oh, do I have to bring something to her? Oh, this changes everything. Okay, so let's see. I think I'm just collecting these things maybe as these ghosts are coming to get me. So I actually don't know what's going on with this one. So, you know, anyway, I think that we're getting something big. I think it's finally time for GameCube. If I had to put my money on it, that's actually what, like, the big seller, in my opinion, would be a GameCube confirmation that it's, you know, hitting the service day and date at launch for Nintendo Switch 2. I think that would be obviously a huge win. And if we got, you know, bonus Dreamcast or something like that, even better. So, you know, I tend to think that Nintendo's going to do big stuff with the service. I just think we're kind of in that lull point. Just kind of like the same thing with, you know, Nintendo announcements in general right now. It's calm before the storm, and the Switch 2 storm is really where I think we're at. So it's one of those deals. Okay, so we did have to collect all those platforms, and then it topples down. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So anyway, we got a couple more Game Boy games to play in the meantime. Mario Day festivities have not been bad. There will be a separate eShop sale video coming up on the channel for the Mario Day digital deals, because we actually got the round of physical sales announced, and I thought they were for both in my video, but clearly that was not actually accurate. They have a separate round of discounts for digital Mario games, and some really good ones like Mario Wonder, so you'll probably see that as tomorrow's video on the channel. But you know, it is nice if you have nostalgia for playing this back on the Game Boy, and you can play it on, you know, handheld, on the OLED console. Like, it is a cool thing to see Nintendo continue to throw in new games to NSO. But you might remember our last video on the channel was kind of a cause for concern with NSO, because we actually had, and with that, we'll hop into Picross now at this point, but we had a game straight up get removed from the service. And of course it was Super Soccer, which, you know, on the surface it's not a big deal or anything like that for me personally. But I did actually not mean to put how to play, even though I do kind of need probably a better explanation of this game. We'll just hold off on that. And I'm just going to stick to easy, but nonetheless, you know, we had we had a situation where for the first time, it was one of those things where a game just gets removed from the service. And some people on the surface say, well, you know, that's just something that it happens with all subscription services, and, you know, it's the first time for Nintendo, so it probably won't happen again. You know, and it's not a big deal, but it's like, also it kind of confirmed to us for the first time that, yeah, the subscription service, okay, so that's actually all we're doing is just that shape. Okay, well, this is probably why it's easy Picross. Well, anyway, it's the first time that we've seen Nintendo kind of do that, and I think that the fact that it can happen should be some cause for concern, because I do actually believe that, yeah, unfortunately, that Nintendo will, you know, ultimately have, okay, this is quite a bit more complicated here. So I think they'll ultimately have certain games that just expire, and that's, you know, the unfortunate reality of any subscription. Is kind of why in the video I wouldn't mind at all to at least have the option for something like Virtual Console, just because while it's not like you permanently own it forever with Virtual Console, you know, at least it's not just going to one day expire and leave the service like we see so much with various different other subscription services. So, you know, that's kind of the downside here, and now I don't really know exactly which way to go. I think it's probably going to be that right there. And so anyway, you know, it's one of those things, you know, as much as I would love to say that subscription services, while they offer great value, always are. I'm forgetting to look at the side numbers here. No, okay, what is that actually? If that's 12, then how would the rest of them not all be? Okay, I'm not understanding the numbers, because it looks like there's 12 and 13 blocks that should all be here, but apparently that's not the case. Okay, well, oh well, I don't know how to play Picross, so there it is what it is. We'll stick to something like the easier difficulty tier, which okay, what was I talking about before? So the overall, you know, if the games go away, that's obviously problematic, and I don't think that that's going to be something like, you know, we're not going to lose Super Mario World or any of that kind of big major Nintendo stuff, but I do think that there's a possibility that some of the smaller games will indeed go away, you know, and some of the more partner games, and that actually raises the, you know, the question, as much as we don't ever want to think about it, a game like GoldenEye or something that's rare license, like there is this possibility that Nintendo doesn't always want to pay the bills for those particular type of content. And, you know, if a renewal comes up and they don't feel like it's worth it in the service anymore, and one day, like all of a sudden we don't have Sega Genesis library of games anymore playable, it's like, well, yeah, obviously people would be pretty upset about that. And I don't think it's going to be that widespread. But again, just the idea that it's possible now and the precedent has been set that games can disappear, not a great look for NSO. But that's where we'll wrap up the video here. Picross and Donkey Kong on Game Boy, both playable on NSO. Not the most exciting round of updates for me personally, but nonetheless, new Mario Day celebrations as Nintendo kind of continues to focus on this until we get to that April 2nd Direct. So let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for any of these games, if you have nostalgia for either one of them, and how are you feeling about NSO as a whole for the service? Do you think GameCube's around the corner at something like the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, or do you think that's just maybe unlikely at this point? The GameCube will be there later on. If at all. I mean, I'm sure some people don't think it's ever coming. I think Nintendo absolutely will have it come over. But, you know, what are your thoughts with how the service is right now? And are you a fan of any of the things that were added in recently, or are you just waiting for Donkey Kong 64 and Diddy Kong Racing like I am? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, ring your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.